Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and today we're going to have a look at the GFS, the GEM, the ECMWF, the UK Met Office runs, along with the ECMWF, the GEM and the GFS ensembles. Now yesterday I was stating that it was likely we were going to be seeing some very cold conditions next week. It was just really the GFS sort of not showing very cold air getting to the UK, but it has eventually gone with the other models, and the GFS is now showing bitterly cold air reaching most parts of the UK from Sunday until about Wednesday. Beyond that, it's still very uncertain. Some models are going very mild, bringing the westerlies back in. Could be a snowy breakdown, or other models are maintaining blocking and continuing the quite cold conditions. From now until Sunday, and the widespread cold reaches many parts of the country, we do have some snow warnings, especially over Scotland, where it is already getting cold and they're already starting to see the effects of this very cold air coming down from Scandinavia. There's an amber warning there in force from the Met Office, and I'll be doing a video later on about the snow coming up over the next week, and we'll have a look at that later on, so stay tuned for that. We'll run through the main GFS run now just to see what it is really showing. You can see we've got these areas of low pressure which are bringing rain and snow to parts of Scotland, and it'll be turning more to snow as it moves away and we start to pull in those easterly winds. As we move through, you can see easterly winds reach all of the UK. We've got that area of low pressure over towards France, and it does move away, and we do start to pull in some bitterly cold air on that GFS run. It does turn mild quite quickly from the southwest towards sort of Wednesday, Thursday next week. But we do have a good 2 or 3 days of bitterly cold air. If we have a look at the upper airs, you can see at the moment very cold air is reaching northern Scotland, and it does sort of linger through Scotland. It doesn't really make much progress southwards until we get to Sunday. You see, as that low moves away, cold air comes in for the whole country. Perhaps parts of the southwest doesn't see the coldest air, but I suspect it'll still be pretty cold and chilly, with it coming with very low dew points and low thicknesses as well. Snow showers will be packing into the east, and we've already got snow warnings even for parts of East Anglia, and I suspect those will be expanded. I wouldn't look at those too literally at the moment. And as they move through, you see the potential for a big snowy breakdown. Other models are maintaining the blocking so that cold air stays more in place as these lows try to run in, and that could allow for some big snow totals, and we'll be looking at that later on in the video. Later on today. If we now have a look at the GM run, GM has been very good modelling this cold spell. It's been very much on these ECs for the past 2 or 3 days, so very much respect the GM for that, and it's performed pretty well in quite a volatile forecasting period. As we move through the run, you can see they're low, very similar to the GFS, pulls away, and then we start to pull in those bitterly cold easterly winds. Now on the GM run, the higher pressure is not strong again like the GFS, and we do start to pull in those southwesterly winds towards the end of the run. But again, you can't discount that blocking holding on, and I'll show you in some ensemble runs and we'll look at that later. If we have a look at the upper air conditions, you can see it's very cold to the north. Cold air starts to sink southwards, and then by Sunday evening into Monday, the cold air spreads all parts of the UK, getting even to parts of the southwest. And you see the -10 line engulfs the whole of the UK, -12 line getting very close, bitterly cold conditions, then low pressure tries to run into that cold air, and it does start to sweep it away. But in the leading edge could be some significant snow into Wednesday, into Thursday. But again, it's too far away really to definitely say it's going to happen, because the areas of low pressure could subtly change position, and that milder air could be 100 miles further southwards, and we could see more snow and cold conditions for England, Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland. We'll next have a look at the ECMWF, which has been again pretty consistent over the last couple of days. Initially it was quite reluctant to go with the cold easterly winds, but the last couple of days it really has gone for it, and it's performing well again. As we run through, you can see low pressure sinks down to our southeast, and we pull in bitterly cold easterly winds. And we do have this area of low pressure just to our southeast, which would be enhancing the snow for southeast England. Now, if we have a look at the upper edge, you can see very cold air sits across the whole of the UK. As we head into Wednesday, you can see there's a bit milder air sitting perhaps in the southeast on Tuesday into Wednesday, and that's with that area of low pressure. Now, in that position there, it would likely be rain for the far southeast, and then you get up to sort of the M4 line, East Anglia, it would start to turn to snow. And because that area of low pressure is there, it would give enhanced precipitation. That's one trade-off you normally get with these situations. Sometimes where it's the snowiest from frontal systems, it's also more on a knife edge. So you could get a lot of snow, or you could be disappointed and potentially get some rain or sleet. So that could bring enhanced snowfall for the south and southeast. And as we head through the end of the run, you can see the ECMWF is very much more reluctant to allow the cold air to seep away. If we bring back the pressure patterns, you can see those lows are a bit further south and are not bringing up southwesterly winds. Parts of the south do go milder, but further northwards it remains fairly cold, and that could provide a widespread snow event into next Saturday. So the ECMWF does hold on to that cold weather more later on in the week. Now, if we have a look at the UK Met Office run, again, performing well in the last couple of days, you can see it pulls in bitterly cold easterly winds into the week. And again, into Tuesday, we're pulling in very cold air. Doesn't have that low to the southeast, so there's a bit of uncertainty whether that will develop or not. If it does develop, maybe enhanced snowfall for southern areas, but likely could bring milder air potentially in. But if it doesn't develop, then we maintain easterly winds, so there probably will still be quite a lot of convective showers around. If we have a look at the upper airs, you can see bitterly cold air engulfs the whole of the country, and you're driving in those easterly winds. -10 line gets through, and I suspect potentially we could go a little bit colder than that. Some ensemble members are getting that -12, maybe even -14 line through bitterly cold air coming in. For this to be a beast from the east, you'd expect -14, -15, -16 sort of temperatures to get through. It doesn't look like that sort of temperature is going to get through at this stage. But again, you can't rule it out potentially in some areas, as there are still some ensemble members going through. But again, it's not looking like a full-blown beast from the east, but it's looking very cold and chilly indeed. We'll now have a look at the ensembles. And you can see the ECM ensembles go very cold and have been pretty consistent over the last couple of days. The average ensemble mean is going down to around -7, -8, which is very cold for London. You can see the ECMWF does very much follow the pattern of the ensemble members. The only real blip is around the 9th, when we have that area of low pressure to our southeast. So with that is bringing milder air into London, perhaps maybe rain, sleet before turning colder again. This is not backed up by its ensembles, and you can see by the other models it wasn't backed up either. So that doesn't look like it's got strong backing behind it, but again, it could still change. But at the moment, it's maintaining quite cold and good for a good 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 days. We're remaining well below the -5 line, so very much very cold in very cold territory. In the longer term, you can see the ECM ensembles are very reluctant to break down the blocking and the cold temperatures. You can see we don't really get above -5 in the average until around the 11th, perhaps the 12th of February, which is a lot later than some of the other models, and as you see with the GFS and GM ensembles. So, very interesting to see that with the ECMWF. Now, you would argue the ECMWF is one of the most reliable models. So at this stage, even though it's in the minority for bringing very cold air continuing later next week, I would definitely not rule it out at this stage. And again, the models do enjoy breaking down the blocking and going back to sort of a default westerly pattern earlier than it should. So yeah, interesting to see that. Next, we'll have a look at the GM ensembles. Temperature 850 HPA and precipitation. You can see a big cold spell, and you can see going out to -7, -8, even perhaps even colder with some of the ensemble members from around the 7th to around the 12th, 13th of February. You can see though very quick rise, unlike in the the ECMWF ensembles, which have a lot slower of a rise, and keeping it perhaps colder. Whereas in the longer term, the GEM ensembles maintain very mild conditions, and there are a few outliers that are maintaining cold, and you can't discount them again. But at this stage, it's looking like it will be going milder by the end of next week. The ECMWF ensembles only go out to Friday, which is around where the GEM starts to rapidly rise. So perhaps the GEM is breaking down the blocking maybe a day or two before the ECMWF ensembles. So again, that's what we're sort of looking at. It's going to be very interesting the next couple of days, not only looking at snow potential for next week, but see whether the models are going to break it down towards the end of next week. Finally, we'll have a look at the GFS ensembles, and you can see they have finally gone cold, where yesterday at this stage you can see that a small cluster remaining around the -5, -4 sort of area. That's where the majority were yesterday, and we were all hoping it was just an error within the GFS ensembles and it was an inaccuracy, and that has come to fruition. And it's going down very cold for a good 2, 3, 4 days. And you see there's a lot more spread come 11th to 12th of February. Some remaining bitterly cold and even going right into the freezer, down to -14, -15. Others going a lot milder. So again, it's very difficult to tell what's going to happen with that. If we have a look at the dew points, you can see bitterly cold air mass with the dew points down to -5 potentially, and even colder with some members. So yeah, anything falling out the sky will be falling as snow. Finally, if we have a look at the snow depth, again, it's not particularly accurate at this stage, as they are ensembles. They're not particularly high resolution, but it just shows you there's potential for some widespread snow and snow showers from the 7th to around the 11th. It's looking interesting around the 7th or 8th, as the ensemble must be picking up on some sort of feature or that area of low pressure, bringing snow back into the southeast, as that's quite a lot of snow spikes for a convective scenario. So I suspect there's a feature or a little area of low pressure that we're going to probably be looking at in more detail this evening, bringing this enhanced area of snow. Beyond that, a lot of snow spikes, but again, it's too difficult to say really when we're going to see heavy snowfall or not. Again, further northwards, definitely looking like some big snow potentially on Saturday and Sunday, where we see streamers set up, and we'll have a look at that this evening. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribing you so you can see my video later, which will be looking at what we really all want, is snow. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you again this evening.